Welcome back. So, another important thing to keep in mind is that there is such a thing as an empty array. It can consist out of empty elements. So take a look at what I've written out on the screen here. So it says R1 and there's just one element which is empty, and then we're echoing out all the elements, and then we're echoing out the size of the array. Let's go ahead and run it. You can see that the element is empty, but the size is 1. If I was to delete this particular element and run it again, you can see that still we have an empty line, but the size is 0 this time around. Also, it is possible to load contents of a file into an array using, you can just use the following syntax that I'm going to present before you. Let's just go ahead and write a short script for that. Here we go. Let's go ahead and type in file equals wood.txt, and I hope that you have this file. Declare, and now we're going to declare an array. So r_file as an array file, just the name of the variable, nothing else. Echo out $sign our file. Let's put this like this. Close it. Size, sure, let's put the size as well, just so that you can see it. File. Oops, there we go. And let's then echo out our size. I sound like a pirate saying these things. Is size. Okay. So, we have declared a file, we have some file here, we have declared an array, and we're basically echoing out all that entire array onto the screen. But we are supposed to load this file into an array, and in order to do that, we need to go ahead and use, basically we can use cat and assign a value to a variable. So we can do something like this. I do believe that you are familiar with most of the code, so I don't need to go over all of it. Equals. There we go. Back quotes, so we can execute a command. Cat. And what shall we cat? We shall cat out file. Close the back quotes, and there we go. That should be it. So this will load the contents of the file into the array. It will load the contents of this file, which we have defined here, into this array, and then we shall get the size and the array itself. And of course we have some errors. Okay, no problems. Let's see what they are. Okay, messed up something with the quotes. Right. There we go. Okay, so yeah, contents of the file is basically test2 and tralala. Array size is this, apparently. Of course. An error here as well. There we go. Been rushing a bit and just talking and writing, it's kind of difficult. So test2, tralala, those were the strings which were in the file wood, and then it says array size is 2. Let me just cat out wood.txt, and you can indeed see that these two strings belong to that file, one after another. They have been placed into this array, and the array size is 2, so 0 element and 1 element. Anyway, let's take a look at a bit of a longer script. So from 2 to basically end. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and write it. I was thinking of actually copy pasting it, but nah, I prefer writing. So let's go ahead and take a look how we can sort an array using bubble sort algorithm, which is quite well known, and this sort of algorithm can be used also in pretty much any programming language. So, oops, wrong place to type. Swap. This shall be our function. We're just naming it so. Okay, so local temp equals to colors, and this shall be some sort of an array that we shall use, and this will be one of the elements that we shall call to, so we want that to remain flexible to an extent. Colors, let's go ahead and state that 1 is here, equal to colors 2, colors $2 equals $TP. Okay, so what have we done here? Actually, I would just like to terminate the function. So it can just type in, I can just use return. That will terminate the function. Anyway, so what is it that I am doing here? I have created a temporary variable which I am going to use, and in order to hold certain values temporarily in order to swap the positions of the elements. So, first of all, we will assign the first element to our temporary file. You see tmp, and the first element, the value of the first element, is assigned to the variable tmp. And then I have the first element that takes the value of the second element, and then the second element takes the value of tmp, which now has the value of the first element. The result of this is that the two elements will be swapped. So once again, you have a temporary variable here, tmp, which I have named so, which takes the value of the first element. So this is tmp, takes the value of the first element. And then the first element takes the value of the second element, and then the second element takes the value of tmp, which now has the value of the first element. Why do we need a tmp? Well, we need a temporary holder of the value of the first element, because once we assign the value of the second element to the first element, the value of the first element is lost. So we need something to hold the value so that we can put it into the second place. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue. Let's go and exit the function and write the rest of our code outside of it. We can go ahead and type in declare -a colors, so we can declare an array. Why did I begin this with the capital letter? Colors shall be initialized to, I don't know, red, black, blue, white, brown. You know this, I've shown this before, how you can initialize an array. So size shall be equal to our standard way of getting the size of an array. There we go. And now let's go ahead and create a bit of a more, just go ahead and create the for loop. But this is it's gonna be a little bit strange. Let me put it like that. Last shall equal size. I will go ahead and explain it once I've actually written it, because there is a bit of writing involved. No small amount, I must say. last is then 0, and last minus minus. Okay. Do done. And let's go ahead and write a nested loop. Notice how I'm using these parentheses here. I'm initializing the I within the loop, which isn't that strange? We haven't done. I don't think that we have done that thus far. So you are able to save a bit of space and iterate things within the very condition of the loop. And now we're gonna it's good to basically open and close the loop immediately when you begin it, so that you don't later on make the mistakes, because if you have like maybe 5, 10 nested loops, it can be a nightmare to close them all separately. So immediately close them and then write in between. Let's go ahead and type in colors. $i as $i. As always, I will provide explanations, but please try to figure out what I'm writing before I actually start the explanations while I'm writing. So if you fail, it's fine. There are no problems there. You have stimulated your brain to work in a proper direction, so that's still something. I plus 1. Let's go ahead and close it. This. Where is it? There we go. And look what's going to happen now. It will seem like I'm going into a new line, but in reality I'm not. I'm staying in the same line. So now we shall call the swap function. Swap, and you see how the line number hasn't changed, but it just continued on writing, so we're not in the new line. I will expand the screen, just give me a second. I plus 1. Okay, so done. And finally, outside of all of these things, let's go ahead and echo the sorted array. So colors at, there we go. So let's just expand this so that all of this can fit, and for God's sakes, let's save it so that we don't actually lose it. So this part, hopefully it's clear by now. Here we have declared array colors, this you know. Here we have initialized it, this also I've explained. Here we have assigned a variable, we have created a variable size, and we have assigned it value, which will be the size of our array. But here, this for loop, we're doing something very strange here. So look, we are initializing our index, which will be the variable last. And we're giving the variable last the value of the variable size. The value of the variable size is the size of the array. Okay, and we are decreasing it by 1. Okay, and then it says last is greater than 0. Okay, so greater than 0, that is the condition. So as long as it is greater than 0, keep doing this. Keep doing minus, 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 minus. And what does this minus, minus means? We're just decreasing the value of last by 1. By 1. We're decreasing every iteration. It gets decreased by 1. Then we go into another nested for loop, and we say that I is equal to 0. Again, we are initializing the index file, the index variable, and we are separating these things with semicolons. So we have a primary condition, we have an iteration, and we have initialization. initialization, condition, I is less than last, I plus plus. And then for all that happens there, do done. And within these here, so this entire condition, all that it does is basically states if basically this, if this element here, if this value here is greater than the next value, then please swap them. If it is not, then that's not going to happen. So all that it is doing is stating if this value is greater than this one, I would like you to swap them. And then it will end the inner loop and it will end the outer loop as well, and it will echo out the sorted array onto the screen. So our initialization went red, black, blue, white, brown. The sorted proper array should be black, blue, brown, red, white. Probably an easier thing to demonstrate with numbers, but here let me just show it to you. Okay, so of course we have an error, but okay, no problems. It's a good thing to figure it out how to solve them. So line 26, unexpected in the file while looking for matching curly braces. Okay, line 26. Let's go to line 26. Line 26, I am missing something above. No, I'm actually missing something within that line. There we go. So write it. And let's go ahead and run it. And it does indeed actually sort it. No, yes, maybe. So red, black, blue, white, brown. Okay, so it does work, but I've written these with capital letters here, and the ones down below were lowercase letters. So let's try doing that again. Run it. And there you go. It does indeed sort. It's black, blue, brown, red, and white. It takes the value of the string, and it's, well, sorry, not the value of the string, but the alphabetical order of the letters, and then it sorts them as they are. So as you can see, B is obviously ahead of R. You can count the alphabet and see that it goes that way. And indeed, we have managed to sort it out, but perhaps there are two things that you should remember here. The bubble sort, how does it work? Well, this is just a part of it. Down here you actually have it. This is basically the bubble sort and how it works. So you have the swap, the way of swapping the values in an array. That you should know. That you should really know. This is a unique pattern that is pretty much used throughout pretty much anywhere in any programming language. This one is used, and well, okay, there are a lot of other sorting algorithms that can be used, but you should know how this one functions. And I'm sorry, there is a third thing which you should be aware of, something that you should keep in mind. The way that this for loop has been formulated. So you can see that we no longer have separate phases for iteration, conditions, etc. Rather, instead, we're putting it all in one line and placing it here. It is very nice and very convenient way of doing things. Generally, the way things are done, for example, in C or C++, would be this way and like this. But hey, you can use it here, and it's very neat, it's very nice, it's very clean, as opposed to the other way of doing things with a for loop. Although in Bash, perhaps this is not the most common way of using a for loop. But hey, I wanted to show it to you here anyway, just so that you could keep it in mind. Running a little bit short on time, so I shall bid you farewell here, and I'll see you in the follow-up tutorial.